Got him. Hammered him. See that?
Let's get this sow turned into some breakfast sausage. First thing we'll need to do is determine our meat to fat ratio, and you've got a couple options there. So most commonly your store-bought sausage is going to be a 70-30 or 80-20 ratio. We prefer it a little more lean, so we shoot for about 85-15. So let's do a little bit of math to find out exactly how many pounds of fat we need to add. So I want 85% of my mixture to be the pork and 15% to be fat. I'm starting with 13 pounds of pork, so we're going to do 13 pounds times 15%. So that's 13 times 0.15, and that comes out to 1.95 pounds of fat that I'll need to add. Round it up to 2, and we'll end up with 15 pounds of total meat. I'll put a link in the description for the seasoning I use. I get it online. It's the best I've found so far. It's hard to tell in this shot, but the package says it takes half a pound of seasoning to 25 pounds of finished product. We did the math earlier, and we know we only have 15 pounds that we're working with right now. So if you want to be precise, then get out your calculator. So you need to figure out how many ounces to use per pound of meat, and then multiply that by the total amount of pounds that we have. So you can see kind of what I did there. Came up with 9.6 ounces that I should use for 15 pounds. If I've lost you with all the math, don't worry. You can always use the guesstimation method, and it works. It's really important to keep everything cold while you're working. So I put my grinding equipment in the freezer for a few hours before starting, and then the meat and fat are partially frozen. Once you get everything mixed up, then you just start adding the meat to your tray, turn it on, and start your grinding process. We are going to use the bigger plate for the first ground, and then we'll change it out for the smaller one for the final ground. Here's the final product after the first ground. I always taste test mine at this point. That way I can know if I need to add any more seasoning. So I just take a little bit, throw it in a hot skillet. So after the taste test, I decided it needed a little more of the seasoning I used, and then I decided to add some just normal black pepper and some cayenne pepper just to kick up the heat a little bit. Once you get that good and mixed up, it's time to switch out to our smaller plate. Again, keep it in the freezer until you're ready to use it so it stays nice and cold. The second time running your meat through the grinder does take a little more time and effort, but the finished product is worth it. Just when you think the hard part's over, it's time to package everything. So I pre-cut and sealed these food saver bags, and then I ran out, so I had to use just regular freezer bags. Little trick you can do is to take the top of the bag and fold it over on itself, and it will keep meat from getting in the seal and all over the bag. So it's a pretty handy little trick. You could use a scale to measure it out in 1 pound increments. I've done this enough that I kind of have an idea of how much it is just by looking at the bag. Now all that's left to do is just to get all the packages sealed and everything put in the freezer. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them. We love to hear from you, and thanks for watching.